Readings of Agrippa. Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today. This is Taliesin Mcknight, and today we're going to continue working through the great occult classic of the 16th century, the three books of occult philosophy by Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa. So we're working through the 16th century material together. And by the way, I've put links, monetized links, so I do get a commission. I put monetized links to copies of the book if you want to buy a book. I really like this compact form. It's all three books, and it's, just this big. It's perfect. I could sit in a coffee shop. I don't really care for Starbucks or anything. I'm not a fan. But, I could sit in a coffee shop if I wanted to grace him with my presence and read a book. I'm kidding. Alright. So, three books of occult philosophy. Book 1, Chapter 12. And at this point, I'm going to start giving my own commentary a bit more, kind of working through this material. So, the three books of occult philosophy, Book 1, Chapter 12. By the way, yesterday I made two videos. So when I make videos like these, like readings, I like to do it when I'm doing more stuff at a time, because I don't want people to wait for days and then it's just like a reading. I'm not diminishing it. I think it's very important, very useful, very great. But yeah, you'll notice on YouTube, I just made a video yesterday, but then at night I did a Patreon only. And then today, so we're doing a reading of Agrippa. So when I do these readings, I try, maybe I won't always, but I try to do it when I'm doing more and more videos, back to back. So the three books of occult philosophy, published in 1533. It's a 16th century book on magic. We're in book 1 on natural magic, and we are on chapter 12. How it is that particular virtues, when it says virtues, it's referring to powers. How it is that particular virtues are infused into particular individuals, even of the same species. Now, so far in Agrippa, it's been talking about the powers of certain types of stones, certain types of plants, certain types of metals. So the powers within a species, like within the powers of chrysoprase, this stone right here in particular. Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa gives this as the stone of Capricorn, by the way. But this is within the whole species. In other words, what Agrippa's saying is, so far we've been talking about how powers are infused within all of silver, for connected with the moon, or all of iron for Mars, or all tin of Jupiter, all copper for Venus, within the metals, as an example. So that's of the species. Today it's talking about how within a species, so it's not to do with the particular type, which again has to do with the three world model and calling down to that which resonates at its frequency or nature. But today it's talking about how within the chrysoprase, one particular stone may be more powerful than another, as an example. So again, chapter 12, how it is that, so up to this point, we've been talking about the powers and stones and plants and animals and metals by species. Now it's talking about individuals within the same species. So, chapter 12. How it is that particular virtues or powers are infused into particular individuals, even of the same species. There are also in many individuals or particular things. There are also in many individuals or particular things, peculiar gifts, as wonderful as in the species. And these also are from the figure and situation of the celestial stars. For every individual, when it begins to be under a determined horoscope and celestial constellation, contracts together with its essence a certain wonderful virtue, both of doing and suffering, something that is remarkable, even besides that which it receives from its species, so apart from what it receives from its species. And this it doth partly by the influence of the heaven, and partly through that obedientialness of the matter of things to be generated to the soul of the world, which obedientialness indeed is such as that of our bodies to our souls. So what he's saying here is that for one thing, what could separate one chrysoprase stone from another? Or one almond tree from another, or almond rod, or whatever. The almond rod, the hazel rod. What could separate it? Within this, for one thing, the horoscope or the placement of the stars. So this makes sense. Like when we look at the Key of Solomon, it says to get the wand from the hazel tree, virgin hazel, it's not budded, all this. It says at the day and hour of Mercury when the moon waxes in Virgo. So what would separate that hazel rod or wand from another hazel wand not gathered at that time? Well, it would be the celestial influences. So just like when an individual is born, that's that horoscope. So in other words, gathering an herb at a planetary day and hour, or to gather an herb, or even go to a rock shop and purchase a crystal at an astrologically auspicious time, could infuse it with that virtue or power, more so. So within the same, a stone is a chrysoprase stone is a crystalprase. But when gathered at the planetary day and hour, at a good moment gathered, it would gain extra power within itself as an individual. And secondly, through the soul of the world. So through the intelligences or through the divine. The soul of the world is the universal medium, and also through the will of the operator. So when you're charging a talisman in an auspicious time, you're adding in the you're taking a rough stone, just a stone gathered, then you're inscribing it, you're putting images, making it more fit in an astrologically auspicious time with the will of the operator and all of these things, and calling upon until all of these things together is to infuse more power, not just in the species, but this particular stone. So that's just breaking this down. So, chapter 12, how it is that particular powers or virtues are infused into particular individuals, even of the same species. There are also in many individuals, or particular things, peculiar gifts, as wonderful as in the species. And these also are from the figure and situation of the celestial stars. Again, gathering at the astrologically auspicious time or whatever. For every individual, when it begins to be under a determined horoscope and celestial constellation, contracts together with its essence a certain wonderful virtue, both of doing and suffering something that is remarkable, even besides that which it receives from its species, so apart from just the type of stone or plant. And this it doth partly by the influence of the heaven, and partly through the obedientialness of the matter of things to be generated to the soul of the world soul, the anima mundi, which obedientialness indeed is such as that of our bodies to our souls. Again, the power comes down from above. It's the divine fiat or the divine outpouring. The material realm is a receptacle of that, or the talisman is a receptacle, or the ritual space is a receptacle. For we perceive that there is in us, I love Renaissance magic. Anyways, for we perceive that there is this in us, that according to our conceptions of things, our bodies are moved. So the spiritual forces move the cosmos or material matter, and the same, or the powers of a talisman, the planetary powers within the talisman, that's like the soul to the body. In the same way that we lift an arm or a leg, or our body responds to our consciousness. Okay, so the mover and the moved, to use like a Platonic thing. Hi, Sarah, how are you doing today? It's great to see you here. It's such a pleasure to have you here. So, our bodies are moved by the soul, of course, and that cheerfully or quickly, as when we are afraid of or fly from anything. So many times when the celestial souls conceive several things, then the matter is moved by the souls. The spiritual forces move matter. Or you could say higher forces move the physical. The physical is moved by the spiritual. Classical, as above, so below. So that they conceive, so many times when the celestial souls conceive several things, then the matter is moved obedientially to it. Also in nature there appear diverse prodigies by reason of the imagination of superior motions. So again, the lower is moved by the higher. So also they conceive and imagine diverse virtues or powers, not only things natural, but also sometimes things artificial. And this is especially if the soul of the operator or magician, the soul of the operator be inclined towards the same. So again, we're looking at how not just this particular type of stone or metal or plant, but this particular one I'm holding in my hand, Charles says, hey, Taliesin Mcknight, when do you start your live streams? Well, that's a very good question. I would love to have things more structured, but I have a lot going on, and so it kind of tends to be whenever I'm ready for it. But on the flip side of that, it gives kind of everybody an opportunity too. Sometimes, everybody kind of gets a chance. So there's two different ways of looking at that, good or bad. But all right, when Avicenna said that whatsoever things are done here must have been before in the motions and conceptions of the stars and orbs, as above so below. So in things various effects, inclinations, and dispositions are occasioned not only from the matter variously disposed, so it's not only from the matter, as many suppose, but from a various influence in diverse form, not truly with a specific difference, but peculiar and proper. And the degrees of these are variously distributed by the first cause of all things, God himself, who being unchanged, or the good from like a Platonic perspective, or Neoplatonic perspective, or Hermetic, God himself, who being unchanged, distributes to everyone as he pleases, with whom notwithstanding second causes, angelical and celestial, cooperate. So God or the divine could just intervene in the case of miracles. And then you have angelic or higher spiritual, and then astrological forces, which again, these spiritual causes affect the matter. So it's not just the species, it's the individual plant or metal or stone. Disposing of the corporeal matter and other things that are committed to them. All virtues or powers, therefore, are infused by God through the soul of the world, yet by a particular power of resemblances and intelligences overruling them, and concourse of the rays and aspects of the stars in a certain peculiar harmonious consent. So, what is this saying? It's saying that in addition to a stone, again, this is my repetition thing. First of all, I've got some people tuning in later. They didn't get to see the first part. But second of all, I like to use repetition in my videos because it drills it in the mind. You don't forget it quite as easily. So, in addition to all, you could say all quartz crystals have this power, or you could say all aventurines have this power. You could say all chrysoprase, according to Agrippa, is associated with Capricorn. All emerald is associated with Venus, or all ruby is associated with Mars, right? But, so that's what Agrippa has talked about up to this 12th chapter. How all rubies are martial, or all silver is associated with the moon, for example. So that's the species. But here he's talking about how within a species, in other words, within a type of plant or stone or metal, there is a powerful quality that has nothing to do with what kind it is. And he says that these come from the moment, the horoscope, or the placement of the heavens. What this means is the astrological moment of harvesting a plant. So, for example, yeah, there's the general power of this plant under this planet, right? But harvesting it at the planetary day and hour. Like I talked about earlier, the hazel wand in the Key of Solomon. It says to get a hazel wand, that's the species. But here, according to Agrippa, explains the next part. It says to get a virgin hazel wand at the day and hour of Mercury, while the moon is waxing in Virgo. That's like a person being born in a horoscope. That's the astrological moment. So not only is it hazel, the type, but it's at the astrological moment. Agrippa here talks about how within a species there's a particular power, an individual thing, by the placement of the heavens, by the calling of intelligences and higher forces, by the will of God, who can make miracles happen, and by the will of the operator or the magician. So gathering an herb at the day and hour of Venus, calling on the intelligence, all of these things make it where, for example, this stone is not only just the stone of Capricorn, chrysoprase, according to Agrippa, the stone of Capricorn, but this stone has been gathered at an astrological time, it's been infused with power, so that makes it, this chrysoprase, more powerful than other ones. So that's just breaking down what Agrippa is saying here, because this is the James Freak English translation. It does sound like word salad to many people that are not most accustomed to reading literature of this sort. I did that horribly. I'm trying to make like an old English thing. All right. Middle English, pardon me. All right. Anyways, the graveyard streams are chill. Let me see here. Charles says the graveyard streams are chill. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of astral projection stuff. Damn, it's right around the time of Samhain, and it's right around the time that I want to start going to the graveyards more, especially this time of year. But I'm doing a lot of like astral projection work. I don't think now's the time. I'll have more graveyard stuff coming out. But the reason that I haven't been doing those as much, I kind of stopped, is because of the other work I'm doing. I don't want it to interfere. I want to. It's my favorite place, it's becoming my favorite place on earth, graveyards. But right now I have other work going on. Sarah says, cool. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Charles. Let me see here. So yeah, bit by bit, we're working through the 3 books of occult philosophy, this 16th century Renaissance magic classic. And this is a font of wisdom, So we got through that. And then, so we're looking at where do the powers of magic derive from? Agrippa, the Renaissance mage, is explaining exactly where the powers of magic come from. And it's very different than a modern, a lot of modern magicians. Well, it's all just in my head, or, it's energy or whatever. Agrippa's breaking this down that there are many different sources that the powers come from, and he's breaking it down piece by piece. And I don't think one perspective is necessarily better than another. In fact, I think a modern perspective of magic could be informed. We could integrate some of this ancient knowledge, and it really depends on you. But I think the things that Agrippa has to say about magic and all of this, I think it's very valuable for anybody that gets into this stuff. So we worked through 12 chapters so far, 12 chapters of the first book of occult philosophy. Book 1 was actually published in 1531. So the 3 books of occult philosophy, they were written around 1509, 1510, and in the early 16th century, in the Renaissance, and it passed around in manuscript form until being book 1 published in 1531, all 3 books together published in 1533. All right, the fixed stars, no? How do you mean the fixed stars? When you say fixed stars, do you mean like, you're talking about like Polaris and, the, the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper and Algol and all of that? I mean, it could be the fixed stars, because there are talismans made of those also. All right, y'all. I don't know if what I said even had to do with your question. I just didn't understand the question. But, anyways, that's pretty much it. I'm happy to answer your question. I'm going to get off this live stream, though, in a second, but you could always type it after. Let me see here. Isn't that where planetary planets gather their energy from? No, I think that, again, there are many different perspectives. But I would say that the 7 luminaries gather power. In a Renaissance mage perspective, ultimately it comes from God. But apart from that, I'd say they get powers from themselves. They are 7 powers. Did I say luminaries? 7 sacred planets. They gain powers. I guess you could say higher up, the archangels. I don't think astrological forces get power from other astrological forces. I guess it depends on how you look at it. If you look at the cosmos as a divine the 8th sphere, I guess you could argue from that perspective the power flows through them and then into the planets. I guess you could make that argument. But like the Corpus Hermeticum, the 7 planets are the 7 governors of the world. I wouldn't say that they get their power from the fixed stars or anywhere, maybe from the divine or the archangels. It really depends on how you look at the model. From another perspective, you're right. Because of the divine outpouring, the 7, the 7 powers ultimately come from the 8th sphere. So it really depends on how you look at it. But I think it's good to not get like overly wrapped up in these models. But they're useful frameworks for understanding classical magic and perhaps modern magic. But I don't think we should get too hung up on them. All right, let me see here. All right. So yeah, the answer is yes to what you said, and no, and it really just depends on your perspective. Sarah says he was asking about them in relation to presuppositions of the divine powers or something. Yep. Okay, LOL, thanks. Yeah, planetary powers. Yep. All right. Did that respond to what you were asking about? That's the cool thing about these live streams is we can do stuff like this, more interactive. It's pretty cool. Hopefully that kind of answered, My answers are often ambiguous because I try not to be a dogmatist and there are different ways of looking at things. All right, y'all, so that is chapter 12 of book 1 of the 3 books of occult philosophy. And next time we'll pick up on chapter 13. So, yep, more stuff's going to be coming out. And thank you so much for joining me. And I will see y'all in the next video. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. All right. Oh, I got a fire symbol. Thank you, Sarah. You're awesome. You're fire. All of y'all are fire in a good way. All right, y'all. I'll thank you so much for joining me. It's an honor. It's a pleasure to have y'all here with me. It's awesome, and I will see y'all in the next video. Have a great day, y'all. Thank you so much.